All right, welcome everybody to the workbook lessons discussion for lessons 155 to 161. And I just invite everybody to take a deep breath if you feel like it, maybe stretch. I'm going to stretch for a second, just to sort of relax and ground ourselves. And I've got a little passage here that I have posted on my wall, and this is my go-to, so I will just share this with us as a way of centering, and then we'll get started. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I'm content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Thank you, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Ardith is here.
Yeah. Are you recording yet?
I sure am.
Oh, well, did someone take...
Sure did.
Okay. How are you, Derek? And I'll shut up because I'm coming in late here. So.
No, it's perfect timing. We just finished the prayer, and so your timing is perfect.
No, it's not perfect. If you finish the prayer, but I'll get it. It will wash over me. Thank you.
Wonderful.
So
wonderful.
Can you just tell me who's here?
I would love to. We've got Johanna and Robert and Sharon and Peter and Juan and you and me.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Now I will be quiet.
For at least a few minutes.
Yeah. Right. You got it.
I love it. All right, so I haven't done this in a while. I've got the lessons summarized, so I'll share my screen in a second. And maybe I'll ask somebody to just read through the 7, and then we'll see if anybody has any thoughts that they want to jump into. And if they don't, I've got 3 of them that I sort of have questions about. So if I have to prime the pump, I'm prepared to do so. All right, so let me share my screen here. All right. So there's 155 to 161. And does anybody feel called to read through those? All right, I will call on myself then. So 155, I will step back and let him lead the way. 156, I walk with God in perfect holiness. 157, into his presence would I enter now. 158, today I learn to give as I receive. 159, I give the miracles I have received. 160, I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. And 161, give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. So I guess I'll just start with, does any of those lessons call to anybody that they'd like to share about them or ask questions or make any comments to sort of get the party started, so to speak? I see Johanna just went off mute.
The last one I would like to talk about, but I don't want to start with the last one. So if somebody would like to speak about one of the previous ones, that would be better, I suppose.
Derek, I think it's you. I think you're being pointed. I really do.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing that almost seems silly. It seems trivial to bring up. It seems like a philosophical triviality, but it's staring right at me. So I'll just throw it out there. As a starting point of something. So lesson 158 today, I learned to give as I receive. The paragraph fairly early on says, the knowledge that you are a mind, in mind and purely mind, sinless forever, wholly unafraid, because you were created out of love. Nor have you left your source, remaining as you were created. This was given you as knowledge which you cannot lose. It was given as well to every living thing, for by that knowledge only does it live. And for whatever reason, I was drawn to this phrase, every living thing. And like, I've been being called to honor a lot of living things lately. And I've been taking videos of red ants in our backyard. And normally they're just ants. Oh no, and one bit me a while back and it really hurts. I was surprised at how bad a red ant bite hurts. But when I took these videos with my camera with a macro lens, it was all zoomed in on this anthill. And I was watching it. And these little ants, they're busy doing their thing. They're crawling on top of each other. But one ant comes up to the camera and he starts licking
You're
his...
breaking up, Derek.
Am I breaking up for others as well, Johanna?
Not for me.
Okay, so that might be your internet connection, Sharon. So, yeah, anyway, this little red ant came right up, and he was very big because it was a zoomed in lens. He comes up to the camera and like a cat, he sort of licks one of his 6 legs, and then he starts cleaning his 2 antennae. So he's licking and cleaning, and he's sitting there slicking his hair back. And it seemed there was so much personality that I identified with this ant the same way I identify with a cat. Like there was this, oh, look at this sweetie cleaning himself. And so then I thought about honoring these ants in ways that I never had before, especially when there's tons of black ants that come into our house in the summer and we're like, get rid of the ants. But then I looked around and there's trees and plants that seem to have life force. But then I extended that to, who's to say that the rocks and the dirt don't as well in some way I don't understand. So I was just trying to appreciate what the Course means by every living thing, wondering if that includes everything, rocks and nails and the sidewalk. But just right now as I'm talking about it, I'm starting to think of everything out there as something I am seeing and perceiving in my own mind. So in that sense, it takes me back to that God is in everything because God is in my mind. So those are just a few ideas I wanted to throw out on this concept of every living thing. And I see Peter has his hand up. Go ahead, Peter. Oh, no, Peter. I was looking at Peter, but Robert is the one who has his hand up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Robert. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, good. Well, the first thing I would say, that's bound to come up, in the Course. Sooner or later, we're going to have to do that, especially with a lot of spiritual things that try to make everything one, and they include the bodies and so on. But the first thing I would say is that after a while in studying the Course, I think it becomes clear that a living thing is a mind. And only the mind is a living thing, and bodies are not living things. In fact, in the Course, there are statements like life is thought, things like everything is an idea, and God knows only what he creates, and God created mind. And like you read in the Course, the knowledge that has been given to you that you are a mind, in mind, and purely mind. And that's what the living things are, our minds. So
Ah,
every now and then when I'm reading a course and I get into that thing like you're thinking, I remind myself that a living thing is a mind,
mm,
or it's what? Creation.
mm,
An idea or a thought, a thing, think, a thought is an idea, and everything's an idea. Like the course says, you are an idea, God is an idea. But see, ideas of God are like himself, and so therefore they're minds. So again, a living thing is a mind in the course, in my opinion, anyway.
no, thank you. I appreciate that. And there's so many times when I, even at this stage of the game, get caught up in confusing level 1, level 2, and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
thank you for reminding me of that.
yeah. But that's good though, because you know, the enjoyment you have from that, you know, comes from that idea of what's in your mind. You know, God is in everything I see because God is in my mind.
Right.
So, you know, you can enjoy your perception of ants and cats. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. 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 And somebody said, is Johanna, or in a couple times back, about sort of this loving relationship in my mind of these objects of perception, but this experience of this loving relationship is sort of that reflection of God's love, or something along those lines.
Yeah, the love in you meets the love in what you perceive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Juan.
Yes, since you started with the animal story, I want to share my animal story. Mine was with black bears. I live in Connecticut, and we have tons of black bears everywhere. So in the last month, I would say, I've had, for the first time, close encounters with black bears. I was walking, going for a stroll one day in a park, and there, all of a sudden, I'm faced with a couple of black bears who got startled, and then I got startled. And they run one way, and I froze, actually. Uh, so, you know, okay. Then the other day, I'm watching TV in my place, and there's this huge black bear walking by my deck. And here again, yeah, unusual, because this is the first time in 10 years that I've been here that I've seen a bear. So that sort of made me reflect, okay, wait a minute. Here is Brother Bear telling me something, and maybe there is something I need to learn about this experience. And what came to mind is that in both occasions, the feeling was fear. There was afraid. And somehow it resonated with me, because maybe Brother Bear was uh, trying to tell me something about fear. I haven't figured it out completely. And of course, I'm not going to go on and pat the bear or anything like that. That would be silly. But there is something related. I can't avoid having the feeling that this is too much of a coincidence, that this animal, which I would associate with fear, showed up in my life to remind me of something. So I just want to share that. It's a strange thing.
Wow. Thank you, Juan. Yeah. Whenever something like markedly auspicious or omen-like or out of the ordinary or so metaphorical shows up, I always start going, okay, what can I learn from this? There's some reason behind it. We've got more people join the party, Ardith. So Manu showed up, smiling as per
Yay.
usual.
Hello.
And Michael is here as well. Welcome, Michael. Welcome, Manu. Good to see you too.
Hello.
Thank you.
So we're just sort of getting started. Where should we go now? Does anybody have any ideas?
Well, you had 3 questions.
Yeah. The ball keeps getting bounced back into my courts today. Let's
The reason for that.
You're right. Just like there's a reason for the bear, there's a reason
Yep.
for this happening.
Yep.
All right, let me look at Okay, this is an interesting one. So same, it's a paragraph within the same lesson 158. Today I learned to give as I received. Down here it says time is a trick, a sleight of hand, a vast illusion in which figures come and go as if by magic. Yet there is a plan behind appearances that does not change. The script is written. So I highlighted that phrase, the script is written, and this notion of time not existing, which I've heard from physicists, I've heard from What the Bleep, I've heard it in all sorts of different spiritual things. And it confuses the heck out of me when I start to think about it in terms of fate, in terms of destiny, in terms of, does it matter if I choose the Holy Spirit? Does it matter if I choose to be a jerk? If the script is already written. And off the top of my head, all I can say is that, and I can't wait to hear what Johanna has to say. When the Course in Miracles talks about time, and when you start listening to the Holy Spirit, then you start to learn how to use time for its truly valuable purpose, which is shortening the experience of time between now and my awareness of being one with God, or shortening the amount of time that it takes, and so listening to the Holy Spirit, allowing the Holy Spirit to guide me, even as specific as what to say, where to go, what to do, that can guide me sort of forwards in time in either the graceful path or the path that leads me most directly to God. I don't know how to understand this at all. I'm just going to stop here and say, Johanna, please, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
All right. The way I read it, and I think that's corroborated. What's the word?
Corroborated.
Supported by other sections in the course where the word script appears.
Mhm.
It's only 8 times in the course that it appears. Anyway, and what to me, it means that the plan for salvation has been written. That's what it means. And so the ego has made a chaotic world, a world of confusion that only serves to symbolize separation and to make us feel that we're separated. And at the backdrop of that chaos, there comes the statement, the script for salvation has been written and you can trust it. And of course, then there's the promise that when miracles happen, time is shortened, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to know all the functioning and the specifics of that. We only have to know that there is a script, it's been written, and you can sign up and then leave the chaos and the confusion of the ego world behind. That's how I understand it.
That brings me some peace, because
It does me too.
stopped talking because I was getting twisted up in my head. And that doesn't, when I do that, that doesn't bring me peace. And what you just said really is helpful.
Can I scoot in there right before? Oh, sorry. I can't hold my hand up, so.
Michael, you go first, and then Ardith, you go next.
Okay.
My wife and I was discussing with her what I'm currently reading about the law of 3 and the law of 7, which is Gurdjieff's The Work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was astounded at how it mirrors what the Course in Miracles says. But she stopped me. And she says, I don't need to know all those things. All I need to do is know how to connect with God. I don't need all the metaphysical knowledge. And that's exactly what I just heard again, a good reminder.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just tangle myself up with metaphysical knowledge, not to my detriment much of the time. Oh, thank you, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Ardith?
Yeah, and just real quickly, first of all, I agree 1000% with what Johanna said.
Mm.
Really, I did the same thing, the mental gymnastics, and stopped because this is a major topic we see all over the place, but I think this is just absolutely the best way to go with this because it's true. And the end of that paragraph, I think, helps me too, because when it says, when experience will come to end, your doubting has been set. So we know the ego can't set that, so it's got to be our creator. It has to be in eternality, not here. And then it explains to me exactly why I kvetch all the time and worry all the time. Well, I don't, but when I do.
Mhm.
For we but see the journey from the point at which it ended.
Mhm.
Looking back on it, imagining we make it once again, reviewing mentally what has gone by. And of course, we know our mental view is faulty. So with everybody else, I embrace the eternality of it and just relax and do it, the unlearning that the Course is leading me to. That's it.
Mm.
The simplest phrase that I hear that says that is let go and let God.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, that just came to me a day or two ago, and I wrote it down in my journal.
Exclamation point.
Yeah. Manu?
When I was first reading the Course, I was actually delighted to read the fact that the script is written, but from a newbie perspective. I thought it meant my entire life's script is written, so I don't have to worry about anything, which was also very relieving because I thought, okay, I'm going to flow with life. I'll do whatever needs to be done, which is still essentially true. And that I truly don't have to worry about my next meal or my financial future or my health and stuff. And then over time, I understood it to mean exactly what we are all saying. And later on, as Ardith also pointed out, in this same lesson and elsewhere, it's very clear that it's the plan for salvation's script is written. So I said, okay, that's good too, because that's essentially what we really all want. And so just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I love it. We don't have to worry about ourselves. Oh, and we don't have to worry about the rest of the universe and infinite dimensions or any of that other stuff over the course of God knows how many eons. We don't have to worry about that either.
Yep.
Wow.
Doesn't that make you less tired?
Yeah, no, exactly. A weight off my shoulders.
My wife, I was talking with her last week, and she said, "Oh, by the way, I think I found something that in the Course in Miracles." She was reading Ephesians 4,
Mm-hmm.
and it says, God is one, and we are one. Those are not the exact words, but it was right there in the Bible, and she was so shocked that there was a Course in Miracles principle right there in the Bible. She's not a student of the Course.
Uh-huh.
That's cool. Very cool.
Wow. Yeah, those places here and they line up so closely. It's very interesting. Sharon, you look at that place where you're at, Sharon, and that window and that sun. I'm enamored by where you're at the moment.
That's our RV.
Yeah, I'm in the Airstream. It's in our driveway and it's very quiet and private out here, and I really like it. So it's become my little spiritual cocoon.
I love it.
Yeah. So, you hear people say, there's your plan and there's God's plan. Your plan doesn't work. God's does. And I think, oh, God doesn't have a plan. I really don't think God has a plan. I think that's like in our world of this, in our fake world that we've created. It's like God has a plan and we need to follow his plan. But I really believe that the real thing that's going on is we've never left. There's no plan because everything is in the moment, perfect right now. and it only seems like there's a plan. Anyway, that's kind of what I think.
Could you say that the plan is merely the extension of the love? It has nothing to do with the dream world that we're in, but just
Right,
in the
right,
love.
right.
And
Yeah, go ahead, Arthur.
Oh, I was just going to say also, I love that you brought that up because what came to mind right away as soon as you said plan was words are symbols of symbols twice removed from reality.
Yeah,
We have to remember that.
yeah,
We have to, yeah.
yep, yep,
Wow.
I agree.
The thing that gets me on that one is only 2 steps. Only 2?
Symbolic,
That's not
symbolic.
too bad.
Oh, I like that.
I used to
Yeah,
think that,
thank you.
so that means the course is only 2 steps removed too, right?
Well, ultimately,
Yeah,
probably, yeah.
I used to
Got
think
that.
that, well, here's the way I think of it. The first step is you got the word, let's say a bicycle. So the first step is the movement from the word to the image or the thing itself, the bicycle in the store. And then the second step, the reality really is experience. This is just one way of thinking of it. I wouldn't bet my life on this one. I'm just trying to figure that out. 2 steps removed from reality, right? So the first step is from the word to the thing it stands for. And then the second step is what the thing stands for you. So this bicycle is happiness for me. That's the reality, the experience that the thing that the word stands for. So you go from the word to the bicycle to the happiness it brings, as one way of thinking of the 2 steps.
That's
I like that. That's good.
the
Good.
I took a course in general semantics as a sophomore in high school. I had a very progressive high school, and we discussed exactly that. The word is based on levels of perception, or orders of abstraction is the exact word. And the further we get away from the object, there's a higher order of abstraction. So the 2 levels of the bicycle, there's probably higher levels of bicycle abstraction as well. So it's, I think my spiritual path began in that course in English class.
Who knew?
Jesus was trying to be, Jesus was trying to be very kind to us by doing symbols of symbols. He could have done symbols of symbols of symbols of on and on, and didn't want to scare us. So I'll take the bicycle one. That's good for me.
Yeah, I'm going to call him Manu in a second, but I always chuckle to myself the way that Jesus understates things. And he says, oh, you might wander off for a while. And I'm like, yeah, maybe 8,000 lifetimes. No big deal in the scheme of nothingness.
Yeah.
Anyway, Manu.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's funny, Derek. You're right. And obviously, in the big scheme of things, it literally is a quick wandering off and coming right back. And so, Robert, I'll disagree with you slightly because, and you said this is your take. And I think what you actually did was close the loop. In my view, you didn't necessarily describe the 2 steps that we are away from reality. You actually close the loop into reality by saying bicycle means happiness to me. So which happiness being an emotion that's very high on the David Hawkins scale, closer to reality, that's actually taking it back to its source, in my opinion. So the way I would look at it is when I see a bicycle in front of me, that's the first level of abstraction because that's perception. I just see a form. And then the second level of abstraction is I'm giving it a name. I'm calling it a bicycle. And then, so those are the 2, in my understanding, how we are twice removed from reality. And then what you did was spectacular because I didn't think of it like that at all. Is like, what is it what is its purpose? Going back to the course, what is a thing really for? And when you start saying it's for my happiness, you then start moving in the direction of atonement, which is, the ultimate reunification of everything, right? So thank you for stating in that amazing manner.
Oh,
I have a question for you, Robert. Oh, in terms of that happiness, that's a great analogy. Would you say that it's leading you towards the source of the happiness, which is within you?
would I say it's leaning toward, say again?
Well, I'll give you an example. There was this wonderful young lady about 45 years younger than me who brought out this tremendous love in me that when I was younger, I would have followed her around like a puppy dog, thinking she was the one causing me to feel that way. Now I know that she was mirroring for me what was inside me. And so when I seek that feeling, all I have to do is go within. And when I'm not in a strong position, I can imagine her face and bring that feeling up. But I still know it's here inside me, not my body, but my mind. And so I'm thinking that the happiness from the bicycle is something that now you can find within yourself. And I was wondering if that's what you were kind of alluding to.
Yeah, I was in a sense, but focusing on what the bicycle was for.
Mhm.
But when I think about, the course's words being 2 steps removed from reality,
Mhm.
to get away from the material, then it's a different thing. I don't know if I can answer your question. If I was referring to that, I was certainly referring to that. When it comes to reality, there's 2 different levels to talk about. You can talk about reality as it is, and you can talk about reality as reflected in our experience here, while we're using a body. So when we talk about happiness here, it would have to be a happiness that reflects the happiness of reality, if it's true happiness. And so that would come from taking the words of the course, understanding the ideas that they represent, and letting those ideas bring us the feeling of joy or happiness. There's lots of words for this, but just brief, between the idea and the feeling. And so in that sense, it's kind of a different thing than the bicycle. I was just using the bicycle as an example of having 2 steps, starting with the word and then, taking 2 steps of some kind. But I think the steps we take with the words of the course is we read the course, I am as God created me. We understand that idea, and that should bring us the joy. And that's the reflection of reality.
Mhm.
I don't know if that helps or not.
That's exactly what I was seeing in what you were saying. At least, again, that's, as the course teaches us, we're projecting what's from within. And that's what I thought you were saying. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Peter.
So I want to change the subject. I want to talk about lesson 161. Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. I really like this lesson, and it's become a shorthand for me in the moment for forgiveness. In the italics under paragraph 11, give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. I would behold you with the eyes of Christ and see my perfect sinlessness in you. It's really interesting. I equate when I have a grievance, and I say this, I'm asking the person that I have a grievance to give me their blessing. And it's the understanding that if I have a grievance, I'm insane. I'm out of alignment. And so I need a blessing. And I need the blessing from the person that I'm attacking in that moment. Just a couple of my favorites from this section, from this lesson. Bodies attack, but minds do not. Hate is specific. There must be a thing to be attacked. So whenever I'm into specifics, love, my understanding of love and joy is abstract. Hate is specific. So there must be a thing to be attacked. An enemy must be perceived in such a form he can be touched and seen and heard and ultimately killed. That's my agenda for this world, to kill all you guys. And then who sees a brother as a body sees him as fear symbol, and he will attack because what he beholds is his own fear external to himself, poised to attack and howling to unite with him again. So this kind of relates to what we were saying a minute ago. Projection makes perception. There's really nothing out there. So I'm projecting everything that I think I see is really in my mind. And it's a projection of my own fear and hatred when my mind is ruled by the ego. And so when I see somebody who I think I'm upset with and I ask them to give me a blessing, that's the beginning for me of the undoing of the ego, the correction, the atonement, and all of that. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Peter. Manu.
Thank you so much for bringing this up, Peter. This is, we all have our favorite lessons. This is definitely one of mine. And then there are so many. A quick aside, I always, with the family, I say, oh, this is my favorite song. Oh, this is my favorite song. And then they can say, how can you have so many favorites? And that's, it turns out to be an interesting conversation. So this is definitely one of my favorites. So the first thing is, just like you said, the fact that I'm perceiving you and everybody else out there means that I hate you and I want you to disappear. Just the fact that I'm perceiving you, forget about upsets. That comes a little bit later. And so, for example, and please don't take this literally, others have taken this literally and then they tell me afterwards, and I know you won't. So Peter, for example, your goatee, I see some white. It's actually very, very nice, but I might say, oh, yeah, there's something there I don't like. So the first attack was that I even perceived you. A second attack or upset was I saw something else that didn't quite gel with me. And, I could just keep going from there. And so this is a most mind-boggling fact that is shared by the Course, that just the perception of something out there means it's a symbol of our fear. And then, of course, the truth behind this lesson, just like Robert was talking about, what does the bicycle, what's the actual purpose of the bicycle? The truth is, and I love applying this 90% of the day, or sometimes only 60% of the day, is when I see you, when I see someone, I try my best to just internally bow to you and say, oh, dear brother, dear holy brother, please give me your blessing. And so that, as you started out, Peter, you said, this turns out to be an amazing forgiveness exercise. And that's the most amazing thing about this lesson. So thank you so much.
Wow. Beautiful, Manu. Sharon?
Okay, so Peter, I heard you say that the Course says projection creates perception. And to me, it seems like it would be the other way around, that perception creates projection. What is it?
I'll have to look, but I'm pretty sure the line is projection makes perception. Right,
It
Robert?
is.
Yeah.
Okay, but how can you project something before you perceive it?
That's the beauty of the ego.
Yeah,
because
so
it's already
yeah,
in there.
Yeah, that's right. So
Johanna, what does that mean? I don't know what that
Twist
means.
around.
It's a loop. You project and then you perceive, and the perception brings you the proof of what you projected. And that's how we're caught in the ego thought system. So what you see, the mind that has a certain conviction sends out the eyes to find the proof of its
Right.
of its
And
notion.
right.
And so projection, no, okay, so it's both. Projection makes perception, perception makes projection. It goes round. It's a loop pattern.
Oh,
It's in chapter 21. It's the first line, reason and perception. Projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it and nothing more than that. But though it is not more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you, it is important. See, here's the other thing. He talks about denying the world, denying the body. It's a particularly unworthy form of denial because to us, it's real. To us, it's reality. So we have to proceed accordingly.
Oh, I see. Right at the beginning of chapter 21. Projection makes perception.
It's also in chapter 13. I just pulled that up too. Projection makes, makes perception. In paragraph 3, I guess it says, I had to give the context to it because it's just that those 3 words. It says, it is through these strange and shadowy figures the insane relate to their insane world, for they see only those who remind them of these images, which you'd have to read prior, and it is to them that they relate. Thus do they communicate with those who are not there, and it is they who answer them. And no one hears their answer save him who called upon them, and he alone believes they answered him. It's a little convoluted here, sorry. Projection makes perception, and you cannot see beyond it. That's the point, whatever went before. And I think we had to realize that and remember that. Sorry about all the prior. You can fill in the blanks on chapter 13.
And this is why I'm responsible for what I see. I'm creating. I'm not creating. I'm making through
Right,
this.
Yeah.
Like a cake.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Johanna,
Say, Artis, I didn't catch that.
she said like a cake.
Bad humor, sorry, but yeah.
It depends on what kind of cake it is and whether you want to make it, have it, and keep it and eat it.
True.
So
True.
I want to make them and give them away.
Yeah.
And all I hear is Eddie Murphy, the donkey, and Shrek going, cakes have layers.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Johanna, you.
All right. About perception, Manu, you said, and actually Peter said it first and then Manu said it too, that the fact that we perceive means that we are out for attack, right? That's what you said. And I disagree, because the moment the tiny mad idea happened, the moment perception came into being, that was the moment that the answer was given. So the moment I perceive, I can join the script that was written. And so I can just see all you guys and perceive you and perceive only angels.
The course,
and I don't have to take the step. I don't have to take the step of I don't like this person because of this or because of that. I don't have to take it. Go ahead, Peter.
The course says the only purpose, the sole purpose of this world is to make guilt real.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's that, and I accept that as, you know, with my rational mind. But the course also says that the moment perception was made, the answer was given, and I just go for the answer. I don't go for the. It's a decision. Choose again. Choose again.
You're ahead of me, Johanna. So I'm going to follow you.
I'm with you, all of you.
And
I'm nowhere else.
I'm wanting to kill her because she's ahead of me.
Watch out. I heard the words of Ram Dass just now. Be here now.
Right.
I think that's
yeah.
Love it.
now be here.
That's okay. I'll take that.
Yeah.
But choose again. That's the main thing. But I have a question about the title of 61. Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. I have never actually used it, other than in practicing the course. But as soon as my day would begin, on day 161, I would just forget it. I'm happy if I know that I can think or remember to say, bless you. Everybody that you meet, the first thing you say, bless you. I'm happy if I can do that. And then to take the step to say, give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. So you guys are ahead of me. I've never done that. So
Me neither.
Well,
how does it feel to do that?
One of us doing it is all of us doing it. It feels amazing. Peace and joy.
It feels amazing, peace and joy. Good. Well, that's my assignment for the coming weeks and months.
Yeah. Yeah.
We also may do it without even realizing it. I mean, depending on the situation. So don't discount yourself completely, but I agree with you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Because, it's just words, right? And it's intention that matters. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Robert?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, no, you muted yourself. Go ahead and unmute yourself now. Let's see.
We can hear you,
No,
Robert.
Yeah, you're still
Can you hear
muted.
me?
Now we
Now
can.
you can, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Well, you guys had so many things and back and forth, and that hand was there for a long time, but you guys were really on it. That's great. There's discussions there.
If I disappear again, I had a blackout.
Wait a minute.
Okay, Michael, great.
My wife interrupts me, so a couple things. There were so many things. First of all, I really enjoy using that lesson. So for those of you who use it a lot, I agree with you. There's a little exercise that Judy always talked about lately, especially in her presentations in the FIT conferences, telling stories about, she worked on whenever she would think about somebody, whether there was any place for forgiveness there. And I started doing that kind of thing. But also what I had done for a long time too is this idea of when there's a grievance, like Peter was mentioning, that give me your blessing, Holy Son of God, for I would behold you with the eyes of Christ and see my perfect sinlessness in you. And which really brings back to me that I need to see that in myself, and that's the way I'll be able to see that person, that when I'm having this grievance, I myself have slipped into my ego, because only my ego can have my mind identify with the ego, obviously, can have this grievance. There's kind of a strange thing that comes up in thinking about the Course's teaching, and that is that the ego cannot love. And so that means that my ego cannot love anybody else's ego. My ego cannot love the Christ in another person. The Christ in me cannot love the ego in another person. The Christ in me can only love the Christ in you, which is kind of interesting, because sometimes we try to improve our ego. But that's more than I wanted to say on that. The other thing that I wanted to say was this whole idea of there's nothing out there. I think basically what the Course means by that is that there's nothing out there because everything is in your mind. But your body is obviously at a distance away from my body, okay? So it's not like your body doesn't exist out there, as it were. It's just that it's all in my mind. It's coming into my mind through my body senses, etc. And so the perceiving of the other person, the Course says that you think that perception is awareness and interpretation, but it's interpretation. So it's like Mani was doing with Peter's beard. You come into his senses, his eyes, right? And then he interprets that. And he interprets it in a way that it's either likable to him or it's not likable. Or, he doesn't like it or he hates it. And then finally, the Course is training us, to shift and not take that kind of thing as needing to be something that takes our peace from us, because that's what we're using it for. So I think that's like where the second lesson comes in. That's an idea of what perception is. I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. And that meaning that I give it, that's my perception of it. I'm interpreting this thing that's over there in space. I think that's it, because that's enough. That's long enough.
Thanks, Robert. Manu?
Yeah, that's very useful, Robert. Especially the thing that you said about there not being anything out there. And I think that's very astute to state that because it's all mind, whether we perceive it inside or out, it's what we are experiencing right now. It's all us in a manner of speaking. And we can debate aspects of what I just said as well. So for me, A Course in Miracles, like I have this tendency to try and boil down everything for myself. And so the way I boiled it down for myself, the central teaching of the Course is, and this isn't rocket science. It's like, okay, I am spirit and you are spirit, and I bow down to you. And or if I'm meeting you, I'm only trying to perceive the spirit in you, the real you versus what appears to be you. And so it was pretty amazing for me because I grew up in India, and as you know, the term namaste comes from India, and the essential meaning of namaste is literally the spirit in me bows to the spirit in you. And so that was pretty mind-boggling to me because we grew up using that greeting, and then once I really understood it, I said, wow. And then after the Course came into my life, I said 2 wows. I said, yeah, essentially that's it. That's the practice. That's the practice. And that's all we need to do every moment of the day. And not just to the human in front of me, but to everything, anywhere, in any kind of perception. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Manu.
A blessing is always, to me, is the ascent to love. Really.
Yeah.
It opens all the inner doors. It is a moment-to-moment thing.
Derek, can I go?
Yeah, shoot.
So for me, interpretation, meaning, these are akin to judgment. And the Course says this is a dream of judgment. And the way to awaken from the dream is basically to stop judging, stop interpreting. And not because we should not, but because we cannot judge.
Yeah.
So the less meaning that I'm giving the world, the closer I'm getting back to my source, and that's the hardest thing in the world, because the ego, the whole foundation of the ego is judgment. The whole foundation of the ego is separation. And so as long as I'm giving meaning, interpreting, and all of that, I'm stepping over that line. Now, this is again, you guys are probably way ahead of me, because that's the hardest thing in the world, to not interpret what I think is out there.
Yeah.
I'll stop there because we're almost out of time.
I don't know what you're talking about, Peter. I think that was the dumbest comment ever made in this whole session today. So anyway, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Derek, you and I are really ganging up on Peter.
I love his goatee, by the way.
Oh my goodness. We've got about 3 minutes. Robert, I see your mouth moving, but maybe were you
Yeah,
trying to speak?
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that I let Derek say that, yeah, I would disagree, certainly. In the Course in Miracles, interpretation and meaning are not the same thing as judgment. They're definitely two different things. First of all, there's no way we can avoid interpreting here. The second thing is the Course, of course, we give things meaning. I mean, the Course says, I give everything I see all the meaning it has for me. That doesn't mean that the meaning I give it is something negative and that I'm judging against the thing. In fact, the Course is trying to change the meaning that we give things and in ways that it would have us change them. So I would kind of disagree that judgment is the same as meaning and interpreting. See, I can interpret my vision of you, Peter, as the Son of God is here, you see, or I can give what you say a very positive meaning, or I can take it a negative meaning. So those three words, are different than one another, I think. The judgment, the course has us let the Holy Spirit judge things for us. So judgment also has to take place. So we just have to avoid judging against others, making them different or wrong or sinful or guilty or whatever the ego wants to throw on them. The Course would have us to let that go and let the Holy Spirit perceive it for us. Because like it says, knowledge is not the goal of this Course. Perception is true perception. So all it's doing is changing our false perception to true perception so that we can get to knowledge. And so that true perception is just a different interpretation of things that from what the ego interprets it as. Thank you.
Isn't it amazing that we are in a course of unlearning?
Right.
I have
The only thing I would say is that judgment, positive judgment, he says, sometimes you think you like the dream, sometimes you think you don't like the dream. There's positive judgment, which is, I think the point that I heard from Robert, which I would agree with, is let the Holy Spirit decide what it means.
Yeah.
Let the Holy Spirit, but as long as I think I'm capable of interpreting this world, I'm stuck in that loop.
Yep.
Can I add? Okay, there.
Go for it.
Ken Wapnick had a seminar in 1992. These Brazilians wrote about it. They were students. They've been students for a long time. He talked about 4 types of judgment. The first is the ego judgment. The second is the awareness of the ego judgment and the choice to move from that. The third is the Holy Spirit's judgment. And then the fourth is the last judgment, or the judgment of God, where we cease judging at all. So that might explain the difference between what we've been talking here, the good judgment and the bad judgment. It's a progression. As we learn the Course, we get to the point where we stop judging from ego and the Holy Spirit does the judging. And then finally, at the atonement, there's no judgment whatsoever.
Because there's nothing to judge.
Correct.
Wow.
Forgive
Well,
everyone in the world for everything.
if that isn't the perfect statement to wrap this session up with, I don't know what is.
I'm very pleased to be here. I can only do this on my weeks of vacation because I'd be at work right now. So thank you all very much. I found this one of the most enlightening Zoom meetings I've had, even though we had a power outage.
It was great to have you here,
Glad
Michael.
you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good
Yeah.
having you.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
I hope you have a lot of vacations coming up.
Yes.
I will. I have 3 more this year. I have 7 every year.
Okay.
And then I will be retiring, so I will be attending a lot of Zoom meetings.
Good.
And you can watch the recordings, right? In the
That's
Facebook
correct.
group. Yeah.
That's correct. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
All
So,
right.
so at the top of the hour, I'll just read a little closing prayer. It's the one Johanna likes to read. And then we'll stop the recording, and some of us can stick around for a little bit to chat afterwards. All right. So this is from lessons 361 to 365, sort of the beginning there. This holy instant would I give to you, be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. And if I need a word to help me, he will give it to me. If I need a thought, that he also give. And if I need but stillness and a tranquil, open mind, these are the gifts I will receive of him. He is in charge by my request, and he will hear and answer me because he speaks for God, my Father, and his Holy Son. And so it is. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, it is.